having the individualized funding plus the support person there to help, that made the transition to school, and that helped build a really strong partnership now with school. And I would say because of that, school is now an advocate for Henry, and we do have a really strong partnership. And I'm really happy that having those two things together, our support person Julie and the funding, those two things have really made the biggest difference to Henry, and the biggest difference probably to our family, feeling that we have, that we're now in partnership with the school and that we have their support and they have ours. Julie, our support person Julie, went into school and helped work with Henry's teacher, and so when he was having issues in the playground, she was able to talk with the school and suggest ways of reducing that stress for him in the playground. So one of the things was equipment. They decided to buy more equipment for the children, so that they would have cars to play with or balls to play with, rather than the pressure of that social interaction the whole time. Another thing with Henry and at school was knowing who to listen to, who was a good person to listen to, whether it was a child who told him to do a wrong thing or a teacher telling him the right thing to do. And so Julie was able to make social stories for him that he could read at school, and he also brought home to me, so we could read them together, and that helped him volunteer more information. Because with that language delay, it's hard to know exactly what is happening at school. And having that partnership now at school, I feel like I've got, although our support worker Julie has moved on, that transition is over, she's facilitated partnerships with our principal and our special needs coordinator, as well as the teachers. So there's a lot of people now that I can go to and talk with when I need to, in both the positive as well as maybe when some of the problems occur. So it's like now we've got an openness and an understanding, and it was Plumtree and it was that transition and the funding that made all of this happen. I'm not sure if we had have been approaching it ourselves that we would have had as positive an outcome. I really think that it's made one of the biggest differences for Henry. So when we moved to the Inner West and were referred to Plumtree, it was a very different experience for us. Prior to that, a lot of focus had been on trying to diagnose Henry and find out what the specific issues were so that we could target them. Whereas at Plumtree, it was a more relaxed and open environment. There was parents who were dealing with issues as well. There were children here, parents here, speech, OT, and it was really a more holistic view of the children and of Henry, and it was really helped open our eyes in a more positive way to what disability was and how we could work with it. So we did a variety of things with Plumtree, and one of the highlights was the Christmas party and Santa and the presents and the children from not just the groups Henry had attended, but all of the children. There was a fire truck outside, and I got to bring Sam, Henry's brother, as well, so that was a really nice, it was a family day. My husband came, we all came, so that was a really nice experience for us without worrying like we might do in a different setting. With the pressure, like everybody was understanding of everybody else, so that was really good. Henry also attended like a little class, and Julie ran the class, and I think there was maybe 8 children every week for 10 weeks, and they sat on chairs and they watched and they did activities for, I think they started with 20 minutes, and over the course they built it up to an hour, and it was like a little practice school, and it was really nice because it was a small environment before he had to go into the big environment, which was going to be 20 to 30 children in his class. And it was ongoing, so it was every week. He knew what was happening. He started to know the children. He started to know what was expected of him, sitting on the chair, listening to the songs, doing his work. And that was a really nice time. I also got to bring Sam to that. And Neve was only a couple of weeks old in her buggy, and she'd sit on the side, but Sam would have been maybe 2.5 or 3, so he'd get to sit in the little class as well and contribute and put his hand up and answer questions. And yeah, so that was a really great experience for Henry. Again, for getting ready to school and transitioning, but also in that partnership being part of a little team that was also getting ready to go to school of other children. And for me to kind of sit on the side and just have that little bit of interaction with parents who also were worried about this, and you get to share that, which sharing is having that problem sometimes. One of the biggest things I saw was that intervention really did make a difference. For so long I was hearing that phrase, early intervention, but you know, spending time on waiting lists, and it was really hard to keep hearing that phrase and not be able to access that. So when we did access it through Plumtree, it was really great to see the difference that early intervention had. He started to make sounds, he started to become more social. It was really special to see him be able to interact with other children and be able to attempt to communicate with them in his own way, and other children being receptive to that was just, it's a bit that warms your heart when you have a child with special needs, and just seeing them be able to become part of something else. Because for so long it's just you and them, and it's just you and them nearly against everything, trying to break through. But when you come somewhere like this and everybody is warm and understanding, we made that decision to send Henry to our local Catholic school, and to think where he is now, where he's got friends, he enjoys going to school. To think where we were, that would never, at the time we worried so much about how would he fit in, how would he keep up, and we were thinking about the difficulties that we might encounter. But having that partnership with Julie, who helped facilitate those relationships at school and helped Henry settle in, but also helped the teachers get an idea of who Henry was and what made him happy, and you know, what worked with him. Yeah, it's just like, it's amazing to think that he gets up in the morning, he gets ready for school, and most of the time, not this morning, but most of the time, he's happy to go. And we're happy with him going. I'm not thinking, oh, has he no one to play with? Is he by himself? Because I know that the people at his school and the staff at his school know him now and are familiar with his needs and his strengths as well, and that they use all that together. And it's so nice that he can go to school and I'm calm and happy about that. Most days. I never feel good enough to give advice to other people, because everybody's always dealing with their own issues and everything's so individual. But I do strongly believe that parents know best. They know their children better than anybody else. And I think that, together with the professional support, is the best way to use that individual funding. That, you know from early on that, that your child is different, and having caring, supportive people around you, as well as that funding, can make the world a difference. I remember with Henry, for the first 2 years, it was just, I could do everything for him. I could feed him, change his nappy, everything. I was his world. And I was happy with that because he was a baby. But then you start to realize it's not just about you. That's not enough for them. They need a community, they need family. Like even with Henry's dad, I take over and I'm good at it. I know what to do, I know how to fix it. And I remember that realization, that moment where I went, actually, I'm not enough. He needs more. And that's why I think it's those partnerships and those professionals that if everybody can bring something, then it can be special. The individualized funding has been really positive for my family, and the relationships that we've made at Plumtree have been really positive for my family. So if I was to ask the government for anything else, it would be for more so that other people can get that too.
I agree.
Because it's not fair that some people fall through. I mean, the program Henry got on, he was the last one onto it, and I think it was because somebody else fell out. And you go, I can't imagine what it would be like if he hadn't have had it. I mean, we'd still get through it and you'd still work through it, but it's not fair that more people don't get that same opportunity. So yeah, it would be that, to give that opportunity to everyone who needs it.
So when you watch the stories online, you know that you're not the only one out there that's dealing with these issues, that there's so many other people, and it nearly makes you feel normal.